Hey everybody, just a really quick catch-up video because I saw this rumor posted on Twitter /X/Twix, if you want to call it that, where Keanu Reeves may have actually been cast to play Ghost Rider in the MCU. So I kind of just wanted to get into that because if it's true, I think that is probably a good thing, but there are other suggestions that I'd probably have. Keanu Reeves as Ghost Rider I think would actually be very, very cool, but let's get into it. Now, Keanu Reeves being cast as Ghost Rider is definitely a good shout. I think he's a great actor and obviously is well known for like action movie roles. He's also kind of like dark and edgy, and he's got that grit to him that I always think is quite good in terms of like Marvel characters and certainly stuff that we've seen in the MCU before. So I think he brings that element to the role that would actually be perfect for Ghost Rider. But I don't think he's necessarily the only actor that I'd look for. I mean, there's been fan casting for Keanu Reeves to be playing that role for years, but there's also been others as well, including Norman Reedus, who I think is also a pretty decent shout. One of the problems for me with Keanu Reeves playing the role is that, no offense to him, but he's not exactly a young actor anymore. And I kind of feel like if you cast somebody that's kind of already maybe a little bit too old for the role, there's no longevity potentially there. They could burn out very, very quickly, or just get to a point where they're just not able or capable of playing that role anymore. So for me, I would probably look for someone that's a little bit younger. Norman Reedus fits that bill really, really well. Now, he's been fan cast as Ghost Rider for years as well. Like, those two guys have probably been picked out as being actors potentially for that role for a very, very long time. And if either of them got chosen, I'd be super, super happy either way. But there are a couple of other suggestions as well. First of all, if we're talking about variants of Ghost Rider, we could also look at Nicolas Cage coming back as the Ghost Rider. And why not? I mean, if Deadpool and Wolverine has shown us anything, is that it is really possible now to kind of bring those kind of like spin-off movies that we'd had years ago that were never connected to anything, well outside of the MCU, but still obviously a Marvel product. But those actors could come back now into the MCU and reprise those roles. Now, similarly with Nicolas Cage, age is obviously a little bit of a factor, as it would be for Keanu Reeves as well. But I'd still think there's a lot of fan service in bringing back Nicolas Cage and then tying in his two movies that he did all those years ago, but that were actually not that bad. I actually quite liked them. I think they're good movies, especially the first one. And I really liked the kind of like gritty Western edge to the second one. So I kind of feel like those would be some great movies to kind of bring into the franchise properly, just in the way that they have done with X-Men and all of the spin-offs of X-Men and Daredevil and Elektra and Blade and all those kinds of things. Ghost Rider's kind of like the one that's missing at the moment and hasn't been kind of pulled back in as being Marvel Studios and part of the MCU. So I'd like that connectivity. So for that reason, Nicolas Cage is still in with a shout, I think. But if you want to talk about connectivity and you want a younger actor to play Ghost Rider, there has to be an argument for Gabriel Luna to come back and reprise his role as Ghost Rider from when we saw him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now for me, that's my number one pick. He's younger, so you can do it for longer. He was great in that role in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. In fact, that season is by far my best, and it's mostly because of him. His performance as Ghost Rider and the visuals of his character, the version of characters that they used for that in terms of Ghost Rider, the Robbie Reyes version, that was epic to me. I really, really liked that. So me personally, if I was gonna pick anybody, I'd probably go for him. That would be my shout. If they do Keanu Reeves, absolutely fine. I would be more than happy with that. Similarly, I'd be more than happy with Norman Reedus, and I'd also be happy with Nicolas Cage, but I've got to give a shout out to Gabriel Luna. He was so good in that role, and as I say, being a younger guy, he could play the role for a lot longer, and I really do want it to be more than just like a one-off thing. Like, Ghost Rider is one of the coolest characters in the whole of Marvel, in my opinion, so I would definitely like to see more of that character. And there is the potential for it. So for years I've been saying, I really want to get a Midnight Suns team-up movie in the MCU. You can have Moon Knight in there, you can have Doctor Strange in there, you definitely need Ghost Rider. Blade, when he comes back as well, you could have that in there as well. Wolverine potentially has been a Midnight Sun as well, so you can bring that. And there's others, but you know, you've got the potential now with the few characters that you've got kind of hanging around in Marvel still and that are still in the MCU you could arguably do Midnight Suns and do it really, really well. You could even base a storyline off of the computer game that came out a couple of years ago. Similar kind of concept, but I'd love to see it. Midnight Suns would be so cool. And what I'd really like them to do for that is to kind of go back to the roots of the first phase, if you like, of the MCU and have a big team up movie with individual kind of lead up movies to that. So, you know, you would have, obviously some characters have already got their stuff. When Blade stuff comes out, Doctor Strange is obviously already relevant, but let's have a solo Ghost Rider movie to bring him into this. And then similarly, we've got, you know, you could have arguably a Wolverine spin-off that then leads into that to sort of explain how he would get there. But, you know, even Wolverine has got backstory in the MCU now. So, you know, you've got those characters there ready to be used that you could just bring together. Again, with Moon Knight as well, he's had his own show. The only one missing from that group is Ghost Rider, and I've been screaming for that for years and years and years. You don't necessarily have to have Ghost Rider in there, but I kind of feel like, how can you not? I mean, Midnight Suns is all about the kind of like spooky horror vibe, dealing with vampires and monsters and the paranormal kind of things, and like a demonic side to the MCU. And I think there's room for that. And I also think that these are the characters to have. How could you not have Ghost Rider in that team up? It needs to be done. Now, obviously, it's only a rumor about Keanu Reeves, but whether it's him or it's somebody else, please just bring in Ghost Rider into the MCU. We've waited so long for that. And I kind of feel like we've seen so many characters coming in by Marvel Studios that nobody's actually really asked for. Nobody's really been that interested in. It pains me to see characters like Agatha have their own show when they're so B-list and like bottom of the barrel in terms of the quality available characters that you could have in this franchise. How is it that Agatha gets her own show, but Ghost Rider still doesn't exist in the MCU? It makes zero sense to me. Your best and coolest characters should always be at the forefront. And at the moment, there's still so many of them missing. So come on, I mean, we've had Ghost Rider in obviously Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he was the best thing in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But that's kind of like gone off on its own tangent now. I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you can see them all there, they're kind of like their own separate thing from the MCU. In fact, I don't really think that past that season with Ghost Rider, I think they stopped actually combining storylines and kind of went off on their own tangent because the TV and cinema studios had sort of fallen out with one another. So Ghost Rider, yeah, okay, fine. He's sort of kind of been in the MCU before, but not properly. And it's been years since we've seen him, and there's now no connectivity between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the actual MCU. So that needs to be rectified, and it's just such a perfect character, so cool. It will look brilliant on the big screen as well, so I would want proper movies, not Disney Plus shows that barely anybody watches or get half the amount of audience. I want a full-on movie for this character, please. And of course, everybody's going to have their own opinion as to who should be playing them. And to be honest, I would be happy either way. Any of those 4 actors that I've mentioned, I would take that as an absolute win. I personally don't know of any other actors that I would necessarily suggest as being right for that role, but I dare say there's probably more. And obviously, if you've got any suggestions, then leave a comment and let me know. I'd love to know who else would be a great fit for that character. But you know, there's no reason why we can't have different variants. You know, why can't we have Nicolas Cage coming back, even as just like a little cameo, just reprising that role in a one-off thing? Similarly, you could have all of these fan castings. We've seen them do it before. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness definitely rings bells with that. So it's a bit like, you know, the potential is there for Marvel to kind of listen to what fans are saying in terms of fan casting. We know that they do. So, you know, do it with this character. Have Nicolas Cage in there as a variant. Bring back these fan casting, you know, actors like Keanu Reeves. You know, I don't know if this rumor is true. Maybe he has actually been cast, and that'd be amazing if he has. But if he hasn't, well, Marvel Studios, come on, do it. So, you know, I'm hoping that the rumor is true, but I don't know if it actually is. Now, obviously it's all eyes on Marvel Studios now to actually kind of announce something, but I dare say that they probably won't do. They'll either do what they're very famous of doing, which is basically never to announce anything until like San Diego Comic-Con, which is months away. So we're probably not going to get anything from that. Or D23, which I'm not even sure if there is one this year, so we're not going to get any announcements from that. Maybe New York Comic-Con might be somewhere where they might announce something, potentially. Or they won't announce anything whatsoever, and he might just appear as like an end of credit kind of random cameo to kind of introduce and do the big reveal. So there's a number of different ways that they could announce casting like that, and I think it would be really huge, so I think they should do it on a grand scale. Maybe not to the extent that they did with RDJ being announced as Doctor Doom. I mean, that was kind of out there. But certainly I think it needs to be done with a bit of grandeur, because Ghost Rider's just epic. He's such a beloved character. He's one of the Marvel Knights, let's not forget. So he's definitely potentially going to be able to bring in a more mature audience in the way that Deadpool does. And Deadpool was a massive success. You know, you can't say that because it's R-rated, it's not going to perform well. It actually is going to outperform everything else. So, you know, don't be afraid to go there. So for me, we need Ghost Rider. I want Ghost Rider in the MCU ASAP. There's obviously nothing obvious coming out where he could appear, unless it was a cameo in, say, maybe Blade or something like that, or Doctor Strange potentially if they do another movie for him. Maybe you could arguably have like cameos and stuff in that, in like Secret Wars, but I don't really want cameos. I want full-on movies of Ghost Rider. So let's see if it happens. Let's see if Midnight Suns is a thing. I've been calling for that for years, and character by character, they've just kind of been building it. I still think that it's on the cards. So, fingers crossed. But it's probably just a rumour. It's probably not true. And I've probably just got my hopes up for absolutely no reason. And on that terrible disappointment, it is time to end. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the video. The vlog is over.